What's up, Wholesale Nation? I'm Undrea King.
And I'm Andy Speed.
And today's show, we have it's not a long-term friend, but it's someone we've been knowing for the last couple of years. He's actually in one of our masterminds that we're going to be interviewing today. It's going to be Robert Heyder is who we're going to be interviewing today, but very solid guy. This guy has done a lot in his business and not just wholesaling, right now. And you're going to hear a lot of that, how he's able to put all these pieces and everything together versus just doing just a wholesale business and how he does that. So it's going to be definitely a great interview. I took a lot of information from this myself.
Absolutely. So most entrepreneurs struggle with just building a business out of one, and they've built several different verticals, and they run them all like businesses. So it's once they figured out how to do it on this side, for them it was the flipping side. They've just basically duplicated the mindset into different, parts of the industry, commercial, residential, flipping, wholesaling. They've got it all. They just opened up a brokerage in, I think, late last year.
Right.
I talked to Jonathan about his business partner in the Dominican, and just to hear how much they've progressed, they know how to run a business, and just some high level thinkers between the two of them, and it's definitely some great input.
Right. And so can't wait to put this one on so you guys can hear it and check it out. But before we get there, again, if you like what you hear, please go on and subscribe to the podcast. Let us know that we're doing a good job. If you want to give us 5, that we love that as well. But do whatever you see pleasing. All right. We definitely appreciate it. But without any further ado, I want to bring on Mr. Robert Heyder. All right. Robert Heyder, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks for being on. So I guess I met you first. It's been a while. It's been a few years. I think you didn't quite meet me, but I guess I met you. I think you were on the stage at one of the events that they put on. I think it was Scale and Escape or something like that. I can't remember which event it was. Okay. But that was about a couple of years ago. And I knew that you guys were doing some sizable business at that point. And since then we've had a chance to chat and sit down and talk, about business. And I know Andy, got a chance to sit down with you.
Yeah. So Robert, appreciate you coming out on the show. I know it's short notice. But yeah, definitely. I know that our audience, some of the conversations that we had this last week in Dallas, I know that, our listeners need to hear what you have to say. And I had the same experience. I'd seen you on the stage a couple of times, talking in front of the room, and it's like, man, this guy has a powerhouse business that he's built over the years, and you had great corporate experience, and it translated well into your business. You shared some of your struggles. You're an open book. Again, thank you for coming on.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so for our listeners that have never, had a chance to listen to you or see you from the stage like we have, kind of give them kind of an overview of what you've done in the past as far as real estate and, what got you into real estate and where you're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got involved in real estate. I've had a passion for it forever. And then kind of coming into the corporate world, it was okay, but I knew that I was just more entrepreneurial than that. I wanted to do more. Specifically in real estate, but it was 05, 06. Times were crazy. I was struggling, young, didn't really know where to look for a deal, didn't know what to do. So I was kind of struggling to get out there and get some stuff kind of going. Bought our first condo that I was planning to rehab and sell. Condos were hotter than hell in 06. Bought it in 06, paid too much, cost more than I thought to rehab it, and we ended up just living in that. Okay, well, you just got crushed and just kind of sat along. Well, I really did my first kind of real estate investment deal that called an investment because it worked. In 2009, we did our first flip. I didn't know what wholesaling was yet. I was just, hey, let's get out there and do some stuff. I thought, hey, I'm going to rehab, use that income to buy some rentals. And then at some point I'll have enough rentals that I can, have passive income to offset what I was doing. So yeah, started rehabbing, did one in 2009. A few in 2010, 2011, we started kind of buying rentals with excess cash flow or excess income from the rehabs and kind of started. And then I was looking for an exit out of banking, just kind of burned out with it and really wanted to do something. The entrepreneurial side was starting to spark up. So I was like, okay, well, how much can I do? How many rehabs can I do? And at that time, I was having a harder time kind of finding deals. I stumbled across a couple of podcasts. Commentaries is one of them. Okay. And I didn't have kids yet, so I was in the gym in the morning working out and like just banging through podcasts at 2 times speed. Just kind of boom, boom, boom. And finally, I was like, okay. I mean, I knocked through like 90 or 100 of them. Literally, I'm just in the office at the bank with my little Bluetooth thing in, like at work, just knocking through podcasts, which was huge for me. I actually loved it. And then I was like, okay, I can do this. And I quit my job before I'd ever even wholesale a deal.
Okay.
The concept. Yeah. Like, okay. I'd done a couple of rehabs and stuff, and owned 5 or 6 rentals or something. I'm not really sure what the number was then, but wholesale was the thing that made it make sense. How do you find deals? How do you consistent deals? How do you bridge that rehabbing gap? And that's how I got into it. It's like, okay, all these guys, all these folks around the country are doing it. I was like, I sure as hell can. Let's go. And that was in about 6 years ago, April 2013, and off to the races.
All right. And so at that point, I assume you were married at the time?
I was, and then we actually had my daughter in our first child, November of 12. So it was,
So how was that conversation? How was that conversation to your wife when you said, hey, I'm leaving my job to go do this thing, and I think it's going to work?
I mean, it was tough. She knew it was coming, right? Like, you can't live with me or probably any of us and not see it coming, because, we were in it pretty hard. I pushed her to get a real estate license so she could help list some of our stuff, kind of squeeze every nickel out of a deal. Hindsight, I wouldn't do that again. But have your wife listed, and kind of push her into it if it wasn't already there. But so I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. And one of Sean's big things that I follow, I still preach to other folks, is just do everything you can to kind of build up a proof of income so that it's there. Kind of in the bank, aside from anything else that you have, that's kind of there, and kind of get out there. And just, one, it's a smart decision to do, but then 2, it also really helps kind of offset that fear. So you kind of use your full mental power and get out there and grind, rather than worrying about when the next check coming in to pay your mortgage or all that. Getting that noise out of your head is a huge advantage. So get out there and do what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Her, she it took a little bit of convincing. And then once we had our child, that was tough. But I'd already, I started kind of working on that plan in early 2012 before she even got pregnant. And it was like, okay, well, I need to get a year's worth of income. What do we do? And just start stockpiling everything from all the rehabs we were doing. And there's a whole another story related to my job that was kind of cool, that helps kind of bridge that gap too. But I'll be here all day talking about that.
Hey, you were a commercial banker, is that right?
Yeah, commercial real estate banking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So So I did that. That kind of helped on the commercial side, but not real estate knowledge, but it didn't really translate over to rehabbing houses, wholesaling houses. It's entirely different. As a matter of fact, I mean, I tell bankers that are really successful what I do, they still don't really understand it. Like, it's just not even fathomable from their realm. So.
Right. And about 3 years ago, then you were probably heavy flipping versus wholesaling, I would assume at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wholesaling for us was really just an avenue to get deals, get lead flow. We just had to find deals. So I couldn't find anything reasonable. In the beginning, a lot of the deals that we were rehabbing or buying as rentals were just coming from banks, local banks, because I have a lot of connections from banking. So once that inventory started drying up in, late 11, 12 in our market, I was starting to get nervous, and I knew that from 10 to 11, there was still inventory. From 11 to 12, it was drying up. 12 to 13, it was drying up. So I was like, how can I can't quit without knowing where the lead flow is coming in, knowing that it's lessening and lessening from the banks every day.
Right. When you say drying up, though, your drying up is a lot different than most people's drying up. You were doing some serious volume in this time frame, weren't you?
In what time frame?
Like 4 or 5 years ago when you switched over to more wholesaling and running a lean operation.
Oh, yeah. So this was like when I was trying to get out of banking, right?
Okay. Oh, okay. So we're still back.
Yeah. And then it was like, okay, well, yeah, let's do this. We can probably grow $2,000 or $3,000 Actually, it started at $1,000 a month in marketing. And I was just handwriting all the letters. My wife was handwriting the letters. Anyone I could get to do them, just dropping them. After that, then it was like, okay, well, let's do some other campaigns. I found out more about different mail houses and kind of how to do that, and then just other social media options, kind of sphere of influence, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of getting out there and doing it. But yeah, so that was lead flow, and then it just kind of scaled up from there. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, we were doing a lot of rehab, and 2-3 wholesales a month. 2, 3, 4 private purchases a month, of which we probably rehab 1 or 2 of those, and then wholesale the other stuff out.
Right. So what in the last 3 years, kind of when did you and Jonathan partner up?
Jonathan and I started talking about partnering up in late 2014, and it actually took action in about this time in 2015. About 4 years ago. Yeah.
So that transition from rehabber to wholesaler, what sparked that change, and how's that been working for you?
Well, to be honest, so I was doing a lot of rehabbing in the beginning, like I talked about, and we just on that. So I started wholesaling a lot more, trying to figure it out. Jonathan kind of made the transition otherwise. He was doing a lot more. He was doing a lot more rehabbing than he was wholesaling at that time. Okay. Kind of got together. We're like, hey, let's kind of make this work. I'll spend my time finding the deals, doing the wholesale stuff. You spend your time managing the construction and rocking the rehabs. We'll bring all the other stuff into our rental portfolio and kind of go. So that was really kind of the transition. But even still, like that model worked, and it made it so that we can still kind of keep both sides of that engine going. It's pretty difficult to run both sides of those. I mean, they're really 2 totally separate companies, right?
They absolutely are. And people underestimate the actual difference between a flipping company and a wholesale company. Right. You're specializing in different things. The lead generation is common, but man, it's very different.
And I that's actually probably a pretty big takeaway. I don't think most folks think of it that way. It's like, okay, yeah, we do rehabs and rentals, and it's like, to be even kind of good, you've got to separate those 3 out, because rehabs just have a whole different time requirement, and specifically peaks and valleys in time requirements that can just suck the life out of a wholesale business.
Yeah. Right. So I actually didn't know that about you guys. Like when you partnered on that it was, I'm focused on this, you're focused on this. So it's essentially 2 businesses, but you guys, partnered up to make it one. But it's you guys in your own verticals that made it one business. Y'all were still running parallel.
Right. And so, because we've had this before where people have gone from flipping and then gone into wholesaling. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you face as a flipper going into wholesaling?
Mindset. Shaking off the hey, I'll just go ahead and rehab this one. Like when the price starts getting skinny on the wholesale deal, you want to still make it a deal because you like the deal. Being like, well, maybe we can rehab this one, and we'll set it over here. Like, and then next thing you know, you got like 5 or 6 going on. You're like, son of a bitch, I'm right back to this.
Yeah, you're back to flipping again.
More times I'd like to admit. It might have just happened yesterday. But see.
The lessons we learn over and over again. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, gosh, okay, I can just, and this is how it really happens. Okay, yeah, that might just be like a whole tail. Probably just clean it up, maybe paint it. Then you paint it, you're like, I bet we could push price up like $30,000 if we just kind of did the kitchen. It's a super easy kitchen, but it'll be fine. And you do the kitchen, and then you're like, the floor kind of looks shitty now the kitchen's done. And then it's just and next thing you know, it's a full-out rehab. And it's a slow, inefficient, shitty rehab because you planned it out right in the beginning. That's the trap we get caught.
We have that property right now.
Right now. Exactly.
It's exactly what happened. Let's go back and replace the doors. These doors look like shit now that, we've painted, changed out the flooring, and done some touch-up stuff with the fixtures. And it's like, now we need to do this master bath because that's really the eyesore. Right. So yeah, it definitely experienced that, and we try to stay away from. Actually, Undrea does a great job of keeping me away from property hoarder syndrome, which is my issue. Yeah, because I want to keep and flip everything. Yeah, what I found is that with your acquisitions, we'll start using that as its crutch. Like, hey, I couldn't get this one deep enough, but how about y'all hotel this one? You guys can buy it.
Yeah, and then you're stuck with it. Okay.
So what does the team look like now, Robert?
Yeah, so it's Jonathan and I as the owners. We've got 1 office manager, 1 lead coordinator, 1 marketing coordinator. We've got 4 acquisition guys. We've got one disposition person. We've got 3 in-house call center folks. And then we've got a brokerage house that has 12 agents. So we've got 12 agents out there. And then we kind of have a few folks that are they have the real estate license, they're into real estate investing, and then we kind of I'd say more kind of a bird dog scenario is probably a fair way to put it.
Gotcha.
And that's a primary portion of the team. Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you have a dispositions manager. I know recently Jonathan was doing dispositions, right? Didn't you have kind of a vacancy in your business and he had to jump in? Yeah. A lot of our listeners are having trouble. They haven't skilled yet, or they're in that endless cycle of training, hiring, getting the right butt in the right seat. And that's a struggle for new entrepreneurs, because once you scale to your level, I mean, you guys are doing serious business. I don't know if we've really covered just the impact that you guys are making in the St. Louis market, because it's crazy what y'all's business looks like and how it's grown over the last year. You know, it developed into businesses and verticals, and you guys you're doing a lot.
Right. So
that conversion from, it's not even about real estate for you guys anymore. It's a business.
Yeah. I'm saying that's a really unique thing that I think we have that a lot of folks maybe don't, or they don't look at it. And I have a really hard time getting my mind around that, especially when I go to masterminds and talk to folks who are doing stuff, and it's like, man, what are they doing? How are they, how are they able to focus so much time on this one sector? And then I finally realized, well, we were kind of on different paths. We were building out like a real company. And a lot of folks were saying, okay, well, they were not quite there yet. They're wholesaling, or they're building out like a wholesale group that, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a full out company for a lot of folks, but it's kind of one sector. We have, really kind of 4 or 5 totally separate verticals going almost simultaneously. And that's kind of that point, or it relates very closely to the point of the rehabbing versus wholesaling conversation a minute ago.
Right. So how does one do that? Like, so how is someone that's building a wholesale business can also build some commercial buying businesses and things like that, and maybe tell the audience what else you have going on?
Well, yeah. So we've got a wholesaling business. The goal's to 159 deals this year. I think we're on track to do that. We'll do probably somewhere in the ballpark of 12 to 15 rehabs or wholesales this year. We've scaled that back quite a bit. And the one good thing we've been able to do is narrow down the price point on which we're doing the rehabs. Last year at this time, year and a half at this time ago, we were doing high-end rehabs. Our market, our average sales price in our market is about $225-ish. And our average rehab price was between about $675 and $725. So, we did a couple up in the $1.1 million, $1.2 million, $1.3 million range. And so we've scaled that back quite a bit. And now our price point is $350 and below for the most part. We'll do a couple of $450s, but in more, less than $30,000, $35,000 in construction cost. Because this time last year, our average construction cost was $175,000 or so in actual construction dollars. So going back to what you were saying, 159 wholesales. We'll do 12 to 15 rehabs this year. We've got the brokerage that we've built out. We've always had it. We used to own a property management company. We sold the residential side of the property management company off. We still had the brokerage. Started ramping that up to kind of cross, what's the right word? Kind of cross-sell our leads. All the leads we were getting in from the wholesale side, we could still utilize those on the listing side. So we built that up pretty big. We'll do somewhere in the ballpark of 70 million, 75 million this year is the goal, to kind of ramp that up on the brokerage side. And we got some really, really good teams that come up under our umbrella, and then we're just kind of feeding them our lead flow, and they're the right group, so they'll make it happen. We brought in, I think, one of the best short sale agents in St. Louis. We've been using her for 5 years, and she's just really, really good. And she's got a couple folks on her team. So that's been going. We've got the commercial real estate side that we do. We bought about 80,000 square feet in the last 6 months of commercial real estate that we brought in, managed, and just keeping for cash flow. And then obviously when you do that kind of volume, you've got to raise capital. So, capital raising has been a piece. The property management side, we're kind of right back in that muck. Although we only have maybe 15 tenants. So we've got about over 110,000, 115,000 feet. Only about 15 tenants though. So that's an easier thing to kind of get around for the most part. Commercial leasing is one of the pieces. It's like, okay, well, we got to hone in on that. That takes some time, work that, really kind of get that out. We've got a senior living rollout that we've been doing.
That is cool. Yeah. That is so cool. So yeah, tell us about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no. So we just partnered up, and we've been working at it for about 18 months, trying to figure out how the right structure works. And we brought in a third person. So we have a third partner on that rollout, and she's just been out there. And I've known her forever. We grew up together, went to college together. Still really close friends. She was my wife's sorority. So just good friends. But she was out there just banging the pavement, talking to folks, knocking on doors, talking senior living facilities like relentlessly. And then finally an opportunity came up. So we built out a platform where we kind of can share data, have a dashboard, and we essentially run the backside of the senior living facilities. So their biggest hurdle is one, getting the client, getting the resident that's moving into senior living. And then beyond that, once they get that person signed up, well, now they got to get them in. And that's where they make income. So we kind of recognized a need there, and we said, all right, well, we'll run the back end. So we have the experience of running, construction projects, running property management, all this stuff. So we said, okay, we'll come in, we'll manage all the moves, we'll manage all of the estate sales, we'll manage all of the space planning, the unpacking, the junk hauling, literally every step associated with it, with the intention of getting the listing on the backside or buying the property on the backside. So we had to build out a pretty good team. We had to build out some really in-depth systems and processes, and we had to do it fast without messing up, because it only takes a couple times and they're going to, all right, see you guys. So so we kind of built that out, and now we're kind of getting it to scale, and it's pretty exciting. And I think one, senior living facilities are the fastest growing commercial real estate asset class. So as the baby boomer generation is aging up, more and more folks are going to be going to senior living. So we've been, okay, well, I'm not building senior living facilities. Well, there's only a couple other ways to get in the industry. This is one of the ways that we've kind of been working it through. We've been working at it forever. We rolled it out live January 1 to one facility. We rolled it out live to 5 others February 1. And so we're 3.5 months into go live, and it's going pretty damn well. I'm stoked. I'm stoked about where it can go. And just kind of give another reason to kind of get out there. Credibility builder from our actual company standpoint, from the core properties wholesaling side, but also credibility standpoint from the brokerage side. And it's really helped us kind of bring in really high quality agents, folks that want to be a part of the team, kind of build that culture out. So it's been a very, very cool piece that we've kind of added, but not without a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and she hit the pavement for quite some time.
Right.
But what I love about
no doubt, it's just stretched.
For your acquisitions guys, some of what you're doing for them, that's your value proposition to your seller too. So I'm sure you've helped people move. We help people move all the time. We've helped people pack up. We fronted some money and brought some value in that regard to get the deal done. Well, you're attacking it from the other end, and you're allowing that retirement center to have that same value proposition to their seller, and you're just managing it. And then, you're making money a few different ways on this transaction. And man, I love it. That's exciting stuff.
Right. And
yeah. So you get the project management fee income, which is okay. I probably wouldn't do it just solely on that. Right.
Yeah. Right. It's not, it wouldn't be worth it for that. No, but
right.
Yeah.
And to add to that, I guess most people that are listening to this, you probably just blew their mind. Right. They probably, it's like, man, I'm just trying to get together my wholesale business. So I'll assume that you have to have some great systems process. You have to have the right people in the right place. I know when we talked before, you talked about the EOS system, but I'm sure you have some type of system that you had to put in place to make sure all this happened, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we use, EOS system traction, based on the traction model. We had Gary Harper and Susan Harper come in and implement it for us.
Right.
Probably 3 years ago. And
Right.
man, it was like jet fuel. We
You want to explain just briefly what that is for people who hadn't heard of it?
Yeah. So there's a book out there called Traction. It's based on an EOS operating kind of management system. I don't know what EOS stands for, but for the lack of better terms, is you track your
employee
KPIs.
Operating system, something like that.
What's that?
I think it's employee operating system or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. But yeah, so you track your KPIs. You just define, for lack of better terms, you have a scorecard at its easiest level. You define your KPIs. You define the most important KPIs you need to be tracking. You track them every single week, and then you have one person that's responsible for producing that on the scorecard and being responsible for managing that, right? You've got an acceptable range that KPI needs to fall between. So let's say you want 50 quality leads a week coming in to run a business, or if you're somebody new, you want 5, whatever the number is, doesn't matter. So your acceptable range might be, 3 to 7. If it's greater than 7, hell yeah, but that could be a problem if you don't have the folks capable of taking those calls, the folks capable to run the deals. For us, if we're normally used to getting, we'll call it 50 quality leads a week, all of a sudden 80 or 90 come in, well, that means that we're probably going to break our lead manager, because she's used to taking in a certain quantity of leads, and you double or triple that, or 1.5 times it even, there's going to be impact associated with that, right? And then from that point, if you only have 20, we have a whole separate issue, right? Now you don't have enough for you guys to go on. You don't have all this other stuff going on. So when it comes to that, we just track literally every single piece. Someone's responsible for it. The acquisition guys have their scorecard that has all that data. Our disposition guy has his scorecard data. Our lead manager has their responsibilities. Our office manager has responsibilities. Our controller has responsibilities. We just kind of go all the way through that. Okay, so yeah, when it comes to it, everyone's got their KPIs they're responsible for. It goes in the scorecard. All the different team members have their stuff. We just start tracking it every single week. We have a meeting every single week with the different folks, see where you are. Either you're online or you're offline. If you're offline, like if you're out of line of where it needs to be, it becomes an issue. And then you can knock through really important stuff in a small period of time by just saying, okay, it's meeting expectations, it's above expectations, it's below, pulling that data out and dropping it into an issues list. Then we'll categorize the issues by the importance, right? So it's like, okay, well, we might have 10 issues on our issues list, but 3 of those are really important. So let's spend the remainder of this meeting jumping on those issues and kind of knocking through those, and then we'll go down through the list. If we think the issue is going to take more than 5 minutes to solve, we'll talk about it for 3 or 4 minutes, figure out where our cutoff point is, and then we'll schedule a breakout session, a separate meeting solely for that issue.
Right.
So then that way you can literally knock through high-level stuff quickly and stay on track. There's some other very, very important stuff associated with it, but read the book, do some, Google it. But those are some of the main pieces. So we were able to really find out where our holes are, or really find out where we were losing opportunity or opportunity costs were, and jump on them and really kind of get some basis. And then once we trained our team on it, well, now they're holding themselves accountable. They don't want to come to that meeting in front of everybody and say, hey, I failed. And then you do it 2 or 3 times in a row. 1, they're probably not feeling super good, and 2, they're certainly not going to when it's all said and done.
So you did say read the book and start following it, but you had some different advice for me after the meeting. I think you and 2 other guys had all used an implementer, and you were all 3 of you guys were like, do it. Right. And you said at the beginning it was like rocket fuel for your business.
It really was. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, if you're more than just a 1-man show, 2-man show, and you're looking to be better and do more, 100%. Read the book or audio book. Listen, for me, it was a super boring book. It was hard to read.
It was brutal.
I woke up with, keyboard prints on my face a few times, just down. But it's worth it. You finally bang through it and you just kind of get your basis, right? That's 5% of the way. For us, having that implementer come in, it was a 3-day weekend, right? It was a Saturday, Sunday, then they rolled to Monday for some other stuff. but they just dig in, and they literally build out all of your kind of game plan, 1, 3, 5, 10-year goals, knock through all that stuff. They define how your traction EOS system is going to roll out. They define what the most important KPIs are. Just by talking to you, they don't know it.
Right.
I mean, some of them know the real estate industry really well, but nevertheless, they're helping you define what needs to be tracked, right? And then they put the system together, the process, dig super deep into, all the right butts in the right seats, what butts need to be filled, like kind of going through some of that and get you off to the races. Just reading the book alone probably wouldn't have done it. Going out and finding a pretty good implementer what was huge. And, like I said, I can't say enough great things about Gary and Susan Harper. I know I learned about them from Boardroom Elite in San Diego, like 2.5 years ago or whatever the time we started doing it. Kicking around the traction idea for a while, they came in and did it. I guess it probably was 2.5 years ago. I don't know exactly, but I know back then they were reasonably priced, and now they have so much demand that I think their cost has gone up. I don't know what it is, and I know they're kind of probably beyond cost. I think they're probably pretty damn hard to get on the schedule, but there's some other really good folks out there too.
Right. Yeah, well, the costs have gone up because obviously the value's there. I think there was 3 you guys. I think it was you, Gary, and who was the third?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just about everyone I've heard that went and got the implementer, you really see it in their systems. And that's the one things I could say I saw in your systems is in your business is that you had the systems and processes in place, right? And then if you look at your KPIs, they weren't just, how many leads did I get, how many appointments. You really had your appointments, your KPIs dialed down, and that's how you guys make decisions, right? And like you said, that accountability part is what allowed you to be able to do these other businesses. If not, you'd have to keep coming back to to a business, a wholesale business, and try to fix it. And then you go to the other business, and then you things would be going crazy, right?
There's no possible way we could ever do what we've done without it, or without something like, because half the problem is not knowing what the issue is. Like, hey, this isn't working. We don't have enough deals.
Right.
Or we don't have enough deals to hire another acquisition guy. Or we don't have enough deals to do this. Or why is lead flow down? What the hell? Well, if you're not tracking it, you don't know, it's an issue. But beyond that, most of the time people are just looking for the result. Hey, we need more money online. That means we need to do more deals. Then what? They don't know where that hole is and not tracking it often enough to really kind of have their stuff together. And then you spend a bunch of time spinning your wheels just trying to figure out what it could be, and you're guessing. KPIs alone help do that, but being forced to track them every single week and have someone responsible for them, and then hitting on it and then isolating the issue. That's a big thing that we've learned throughout all this, is just isolating the issue. Because more times than not, you've got a problem, it might have 4 issues, and you can just throw a bunch of crap against the wall, but this really helps isolate those issues out so that you can dig deep and say, okay, well, this is this issue, let's solve this one, then let's solve this, then let's solve this, then let's solve this, all of which are directly related to whatever result you're probably trying to get to.
Right. So you have a number of years in the business and you've progressed, and obviously you've had some struggles, and there's some hindsight there. You don't get where you are without some lessons and some, believing some truths that are really out there. What advice would you have to somebody that's just starting their business that you wish you would have had when you started?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we kind of hit on it a minute ago, but being singular focused, right? Don't try and be a rehabber and a wholesaler and a rental owner. Like, really choose what your goals are, and then work at one, get it pretty good or get it good, get your systems, get your process in place, literally define the steps of every single thing that you're doing. And it sucks because when you're doing it, you're thinking, okay, well, why am I doing this? I should be going out and doing more deals. I should be going out. But like that, it's a little 5% more when you're in it will make it so that you can move so much faster in a handful of months. So I'd be singular focused. If you start with wholesaling, say, okay, well, wholesaling is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of build out what my strategy is. I'm going to do, 4 deals a month, 5 deals a month, whatever that number is, right? We'll say 4, so we can do 1 a week. And then, okay, well, here's what I need to do. Here's the system, what it's going to look like. Here's the team that needs to be. Here are the seats that I'm going to need to fill at some point, even if it's just you. Okay, so now you've actually strategized what that line of business is going to look like. So if it's solely wholesaling, great. Boom, here's where you are. You know that you're going to, your business lives and dies on lead flow, right? And most folks don't really understand that wholesaling they're not real estate investors at all, really. What you really are is a sales and marketing company. I think that's a big piece. But so, okay, you're sales and marketing. That means that you need to be really good or figure out how to be pretty good at marketing and then be good at sales. And that's how you make money. And you sell on the buy side, then you selling it on the back end, and then just kind of building out that system and process solely for that and going. Marketing is the biggest piece of that on the front end, and then tracking the marketing, defining what your KPIs are going to be and stick to actually tracking those so you can know where the holes are as you're trying to scale up a little bit. You don't get caught in the weeds with a bunch of other tasks or and-thens or a rehab or a rental, or maybe I can help someone do this, or, oh, you know what, maybe I'll just list this one. Stay out of that stuff. One single focus.
Yeah, I absolutely love that advice. And that's going to make a difference for somebody.
Right.
It's so easy to get distracted by the different options in this business, and becoming an expert in your own business is probably a big plague as well. But you touched on something there at the end. I want to just repeat that. Go be a realtor and do your retail side, because it's easy. You're gonna see those shiny objects when you start marketing. It's oh man, I can make money on this lead this way. I could list it, or I could buy this one sub 2, or you really want to focus. You're going to build something when you start focusing. And I think that's absolutely great advice, and something that you just take for granted now because you've learned, you're building your verticals now and you're focused in each one, but you're able to hop back and forth because you have the pieces in place, to run that when you're not there. So absolutely love the advice.
Yeah. And so for people who want to reach out to you and, maybe they have some questions, maybe they want to see you in your market. What do you guys have going on there in St. Louis?
Yes, we've got a meetup in St. Louis here. We've been building it out. It wasn't something we focused on a lot, but it's starting to get legs. It's pretty great. Core properties meetup. You can go to our Facebook page, and we always, we have all the information on that. Core Properties St. Louis. You can go to my personal Instagram. It'll have that info too. Just Robert_Heyder, and that's Heyder, and kind of shoots the dates and the times and the places out for all of those. I think it's getting up there pretty good. It's starting to kind of get some really quality content to kind of help folks out.
So what kinds of things are you guys talking about?
Well, we focus a lot on rentals, just because a lot of folks in our market are big on the rental game. So we've been hitting that pretty hard. But now we've been focusing a little bit more on the wholesaling side too, kind of getting that up and going, training folks how to do it right, because the vast majority of folks don't, or they're, like I said, they're doing 3 things and they're not doing any of them worth a damn. So just kind of.
Is wholesaling a 4-letter word in your market as well?
What's that again?
Is wholesaling a 4-letter word in your market as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Man, we get beat on down here in Houston.
Right.
Yeah. It's something. It's something,
yeah.
man.
It sounds like you got some exciting things coming down the pipeline also. I've been seeing you a lot in social media. Looks like you're going to be doing some videos, on location type stuff. So that would be exciting as well for people to watch.
Yeah. I've got a problem. I give everyone more credit than maybe they have, or I assume that they already know more than they might know.
Right.
So, we're doing so much. I just assume everybody else is doing the same or thinks the same way. And then recently, especially kind of through boardroom and meeting folks, they're like, whoa, dude, say that again. What the hell? So I've been just trying to focus on getting some of this stuff out. Just kind of talking about what we're doing and just making sure that, it's pretty interesting. I had Andy, we had a great conversation with Corey and someone else at dinner. And we were just kind of talking about ways to hedge the real estate market, It was just simple. It's like the things literally I'm thinking of every single day. We're talking about, hey, how do we hedge downside? The market's going to correct at some point. There's going to be that gap between when the market corrects and there's opportunity and when you don't know what the hell to do. There's going to be that gap period. There always is. Right. And I remember it during the last recession where it's like everyone thinks, okay, yeah, when the market corrects, when the market goes down, there's going to be huge opportunity. Yeah, there probably will be. But there's going to be a handful of months that it's going to suck. And what do you do now just to be protected for when that hits? And, we literally talk about it at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I just kind of assumed everybody else was too. And I realized that a lot of folks out there aren't. I know you guys were kind of digging into it. A few other folks were, but not many. So, that's one of the things we've been talking about, and just kind of scaling up folks that are doing 50, 75, 100 deals, 100 plus deals, but are making a good amount of money on the residential side. They're like, hey, well, how do we get into the commercial side? I'd love to talk to you about that. And that's a big thing that we've done that I realize that not that many people know much about. So we've just been talking about that a lot more. Hey, let's figure it out. We're working with our buddies up in Indy, Steve and Brian, that they kind of were the same way. We went down their market and met with them and hung out for a while. And on the way out, it's just like, hey guys, we're buying more commercial. Let us know if you come across anything, and maybe we can partner up on it. And then set that message out in the world. It comes back a handful of months later and say, hey, we got something. Let us know. So now we're under contract on a 35,000 square foot deal up in Indianapolis. It's 25,000 feet of retail and 10,000 feet of office. And we're set to close here in about 45 days. And just random as hell. And they're just like, hey, we're doing a lot over here. We don't know anything about this. We're not even touching it. Doesn't mean they're not seeing opportunities. They just know what to do with the opportunity.
Right.
So we're hitting that kind of.
I love what I'm seeing in the change in not only the group, but in the market itself, leveraging the human capital and everybody working together that's truly aligned. There's really some power to make some real change. So I love what I'm seeing. And I didn't know that you guys, your trip to Indy ended in a commercial deal for you.
Yeah, we're going to be in the deal too. Not just us, but yeah. And I'm stoked. I really like Indy's market. It's hot. It's got good stuff going on. And, this is a very up and coming gentrifying area that just never ever would have known. And, they probably wouldn't have done it otherwise. So now we'll partner on that deal. Maybe we'll partner on the next deal, but at some point they're going to get it and they're going to go out and do their own stuff. And, it is what it is and it's great. But it just kind of, gets you into finding, squeezing some juice out of something that might not have been there otherwise and kind of figuring something out. So it's, I'm really, really stoked about that. That's probably one of the biggest avenues that we're going to start exploring here in the near future. Is just kind of talking to folks that we know, like, and trust in a market and just say, hey, if you come across something, let us know and we can partner on it. And for us, it's a huge benefit because I want someone that I know, like, and trust in that market. They can see it every day, because we're in St. Louis. So it's really, really cool. That's probably one of the things I'm the most excited about right now.
That's awesome. So I love what we're seeing from afar on social media. Love seeing once a quarter, whatever we're running into each other. If you're in the St. Louis market, absolutely. As you get that wholesaler meetup up and running, you want to go. This guy, obviously, you see the wealth of information that he brings to the table, and I can't imagine getting to spend 2 or 3 hours with you once a month as a new wholesaler, even as a quasi established wholesaler. You always bring tremendous value to us, and I know that you're going to bring tremendous value to your meetup and to your market. So I'd definitely look forward to seeing the landlord meetup turn into a wholesaler meetup. You're gonna see some fire put on it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think it will. No, I appreciate it. I think it'll be pretty awesome and good big things to come.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And so, Robert, we definitely appreciate it. We know that you're running like 10 businesses that you're doing over there. I know that takes a lot of your time. So we definitely appreciate you for taking time to speak to our audience today.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
And taking the time to talk to us. But thank you, and we appreciate it. That does it for the show. All right.